Hello, Nerdy Romantics! I'm so happy to have with me today my co-host Stacy, Marcy, and Dana. And we are here to talk about Bridgerton Season 3. And we are going to spoil everything. I mean, like everything. Because I got something to say about everything. So if you have watched Bridgerton Season 3, have some popcorn, have some wine, just like Shondaland do, and discuss with us. This is the Nerdy Romantics Podcast, and I'm your host, Y.M. Nelson. Okay, so howdy, ladies. How are we doing tonight?
Hi, we're doing great.
I'm fine.
All right, good. All right. So, Bridgerton Season 3. I think I'm going to do something a little bit different than what I usually do, which is ask like what our first impressions were, how we felt going in, things like that, because I know everybody got something to say about at least something. So we're just going to get right into the discussion. And I, of course, want to talk first of all about Penelope and Colin, also known as Polin, their ship name. And of course, we remember from our discussions on Season 2, I actually listened to Queen Charlotte, which we put out in July. And I remember talking about this Season 2 and this Season 3. And I remember us being very excited to see what was going to happen, especially with Polin. So I want to know what y'all thought about this particular relationship, which is the central relationship of this particular season, or so they say. So let's start with Marcy, because Marcy always gives us a little bit of smiles and optimism.
Oh,
I want to see, Marcy, if you have smiles and optimism for Polin today.
Is that what
Penelope
I was supposed to
Colin.
be here for? Okay. Well, let me dig for that.
Actually, we just want you to be real. So if it's not optimistic, let us know.
First impressions going in, it did at least have some energy. I'll give it that. I did like to see all my old favorites again. You know, when you watch Queen Charlotte, it was kind of a bit more isolated. So to see the Featheringtons and the Bridgertons and see everybody back together again, that part was nice. As for my feelings about the Pollen relationship, I feel a little let down. I did not get it. Halfway through, I could not figure out what she saw in him or what he saw in her. I could not tell that these were two people who should be together. I'm gonna say they tried to bring it home at the end. I finally saw her stand up and say some things. I still wasn't sure until the epilogue scene why we were still voting for Colin, what he was gonna do or offer the world. I felt confused. My favorite relationship was Lord Kilmartin and Francesca. Loved watching them. Loved watching Violet and Anthony and their relationship, or Andrew, her brother. I frankly enjoyed almost every other relationship more. Loved seeing this new version of Kate and Anthony. Clearly, after the angst, they really got their groove in. They seem to have some sort of kind of thing going. But as for Pollen, I feel like maybe the idea was that they were the shoe-in couple, and so they didn't have to try very hard. So they didn't. Thank you.
Oh my. Okay. All right, Stacy, do we agree with that, or
I
what's
mean,
your
I
take on Polin?
I mean, I agree with it because well, if you look at the previous episodes that we did, like of season two, and how they're going to get those two together, because I didn't like how it ended on that, and how he said, I would never be with her, and so on, so on. So, we saw that. So I was like, well, how are you going to make it into this season three? Like, how are you going to make it like the others? And it really wasn't. And I felt bad about that because the fact that, oh, a plus size, and I know she's really not plus size because she's like what, size 10 really, but I mean, but a full figured, or as full figured as you get from a Hollywood in America, that that she would have a love interest, and the whole seduction thing that we had in season one, and then season two, and then season three is like, do y'all do it because of the relationship, or you're doing it because of who she is and who is he is? Did you not make it as spicy, it seemed? Because there was parts of it that were real spicy, but it's like there was no build up, like, oh my gosh, what's it gonna do? And then it was like, okay, they did that. The carriage thing, I mean, there was some, not saying those scenes weren't great, but it didn't have the same feeling as the first two. And maybe it's they were trying to do to me, like maybe because they were friends of a sort. Because I'm not even
Right,
sure about the friendship up to this point. Because
right.
it's like it seemed like he wrote all what was going on in his life to her, and I don't know. Was he asking her questions about what's going on in her life before, unless she was, or was she just really just a sounding board for him? But there was no real interaction. I don't know. I mean, it was just, and then I'm not sure if possibly they didn't do it as much because it had three different relationships within this whole four, because we
Yeah,
had the older brother, and I liked the older brother and his wife, and I kind of like that kind of that. Yes, they're married now, and it's not we put them on the shelf and they're done. It's
right.
they. I mean, granted,
Exactly.
they're still newlyweds, but at least you still have that lustfulness, that sensuality. You still have that with them, and you were seeing that, which I liked. Like, okay, it's not a closing the chapter. We got them together. Move off stage, exit right. But so that's that one. And then when Marcy said, was it Francesca and what's his Lord?
Lord
What's his name?
Kilmartin,
Lord Kilmar.
John.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm an introvert, so I liked how they just two sat together, and it was like, and they still liked, that
Yeah,
really, that spoke to me right there. It's like, you don't have to say nothing, just be here. That's all you need to be. And I enjoyed watching them. It's like, dude, I want to see more of that. But, the what, third, if you count Pollen, then you have them, then you have the older brother and his wife, and then you have the throuple over there going on. So
Forgot about
yeah.
them.
you had, and I'm not sure it's because you had so many stories. Well, I mean, grant the brother who's already married, that wasn't like a big part of it, but the other
Yeah.
but the other two were bigger parts. It's like, is it because of that we didn't see the same for Penelope, because you split it between three different actively going couples?
Right.
I don't know, but I'm not saying I didn't like this season, because I'm not going to say that, because I like the fact that they had it, but at the same time, it seemed less coupley of one central couple, and more of a lot of different stories. Because then we have the Featheringtons trying to get pregnant, and I mean, and that was a good little.
They were
Their
fun.
little antics were funny too, but you had a lot going on in this season to be at what, 8 episodes? It wasn't even that long, and you had all
Right.
these things going on. So I mean, I would agree with Marcy. I expected more from the main couple, but it didn't seem like it was a season for the main couple. It didn't seem like it was
Yeah.
just they're part of a group. We're not sure. I know they've been renewed, but I'm like, we trying to get as many in before for this ship
Right.
sails. So I'm gonna try to. You're gonna go three of them in this one. We see how this pans out. We're gonna do the next one and see how that pans out. I mean, I just think that kind of, it felt like we had a whole lot of different um, couples and we didn't have one central focus point of, it was always this person or this person, that couple or this couple. And
Mhm.
that was what it felt like. It was not what we've been used to, which is when a central couple is the main focus, because that was not it in this season.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree with that. Dana, what about you? I already know a little bit about what's gonna happen here, but
Right. So,
just say what you feel about Pollen.
okay, I will. But first, I need to put out a disclaimer. So, just for all of you who may not have seen all the other Bridgerton recordings that we did, the first season I was very skeptical. Everybody else on in the group loves period romance, and I was like, "What is this?" And I just knew it was going to be horrible, and it wasn't. I enjoyed it. I was still a little leery or whatever, but I did enjoy it. The second one, I enjoyed that too. I absolutely love the relationship between the two main characters for that one. And then y'all know Queen Charlotte has my heart. That was my jam all up and down until the end. And y'all know what happened with the end of that. So because of that, I wanted to let y'all know in terms of what I thought of Pollen. I thought the relationship and the whole setup, I was so anticipating this. Like, I think so many of us, and I have reasons why I think, we were, or at least I was anticipating this, and I'll get back to it. But I think for me, it was a complete letdown. So much so that after episode 5, I did not watch any more of these shows. And I don't care whether they have any more. Like, I'm over the Bridgerton thing. Like, I feel like it was such a train wreck. And I appreciate that Stacey and Marcy can find something in it, just some good parts or not. So that's why I kind of wanted to do a disclaimer, because if the good parts happened after episode 5, then I didn't see them. So maybe there's
Okay.
some redeeming things that happen. Like, I'm aware of some of the things that happened, but I didn't actually watch any of it. But going into this, look, I mean, as a plus size person, and yes, absolutely, Penelope is not plus size in any way, shape, or form in anything that we would normally think of. But in this society, in this, Hollywood thing, she is. So she's kind of an underdog, right? So we're rooting for her. Like, I think of all the people that we could relate to, I think she was could have been more of a relatable character. And so I think I was really rooting for her. But I think they dug themselves a hole in season 2 because they made us not like Colin, because let's be honest, it sounded like he's like, I would never date her because she's fat. I don't care what anybody else says, this is exactly what it came off as, or whatever. And so to someone like me, that's the biggest, I don't know how you recover from that, right? But you don't recover from it in 30 minutes, and there was no connection. Like, I just
one
felt
outfit
like,
change.
yeah,
30
one
minutes
outfit
and
change.
one outfit
Exactly. 30
change.
minutes and one
And
outfit change does not make it okay now. And the thing is, even if and somebody said this, and I thought, this is a good point. This is the only time we even really saw Colin kind of be negative towards her, I feel like. But it just hurts. It cuts so deep. It cut deep. Like, it just cut deep. I don't know what else to say. It was so, on one hand, I'm like, well, Dana, you were probably being a little too harsh on him because this is the one time. But it was such a deep cut that it would have taken way longer than these 8 episodes could have portrayed, especially because they were too busy looking at everybody else's relationships. There was no way you were going to recover from this and what they did. Like, I did not. The thing that, let me tell you, okay, and also, like, I remember this, like, as a kid, I, like, had this guy, I thought I was in love with him or whatever, and he just saw me as his little neighbor friend. Yep, y'all know who I'm talking about anyway. But so I kind of felt some kind of way about the BS of one kiss, now you can't get me off your mind. Spare me. Like, this is stuff that I would expect to see in some teenager, movie who is just, like, full of lies and happy things. But there's not one kiss that now you can't get me off your mind and I'm all you think about, when we've known each other for the last 20 years and all of a sudden this kiss is what got you to love me. Because what happens,
Right.
one day if my breath is bad, you gonna hate me? Or like if that's all that made the connection is that kiss, spare me. I think that's BS. I'm too old for that. So I did not like that at all. Now, one thing I think Stacey mentioned I thought was interesting. So with the initial season with Daphne, and because whatever his name didn't come back, we really didn't have to worry about too much of Daphne's relationship in the second scene because she had no man. So it was like, that didn't bother me at all. And to your point with the third one, I agree that seeing the past relationship, is it Kate and
Anthony.
Anthony? I love them. I actually love them as a couple very, very much. I love their relationship. So the tidbits that I got of their relationship fit in just fine to me. It made sense, like you said, Stacy, to see a little bit of that because it didn't just drop out. So I feel like Daphne's dropped out because it had to. So it was okay for me to see a little bit of that. It's all the other relationships that they tried to jam up in here. Y'all, I do not care about these people. It is not their turn. And again, because it's a personal note for me, it's like, why we got to do the plus size one this way? If you want to throw all them people, why don't you throw them all up in season 2? Why don't you throw them somewhere else? And so I just felt some kind of way. And then I heard the showrunner say that she wanted this season 3, to have a more comedic kind of look towards. That's another plus size people. Why we always got to be happy, funny, jolly Santa Clauses. Like, again, I was like, big old slap in the face. So, like, I could not stand this. I couldn't even bring myself. And I only watched episode 5 because we were promised some stuff. And I hadn't gotten in episodes 1 through 4. I was like, where is it? So I was like, I got to watch episode 5. People swore it was going to be an episode 5. So I was like, okay, that's the only reason I even watched episode 5. I saw it. It was there in a different context. It may have been something different. But in this context, I still did not care. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, it wasn't... I don't know. Y'all may feel different. It wasn't sexy to me. It was awkward. I wanted to hide. Like, it was just... it was original.
Can I just say that as a grown woman, I have been in love, I have been in lust, but I have never in my life sighed and deeply inhaled as many times as Penelope did during this season. It almost was its own character of her. I never in my life have I had that many intakes of breath. And it really got to be ridiculous. And I don't know if it was supposed to portray innocence or earnestness or true desire, but by the time they got to the kerosene, I was like, if one more time we have an intake of breath and a heaving of bosom, I'm gonna be done. I don't know what it was supposed to add, but after a while, it was distracting almost, the number of times that it showed up on screen in this weird way that it hadn't in any other. When when in that first season, no matter, she may have inhaled and maybe not breathed for a moment or something, but the pronounced behavior was so outlandish by the end that I was just annoyed. It became annoying to me by the end. It was so noticeable that I would be distracted by how many times was she gonna do it in this thing. Like, it was just it was a trope and it was ridiculously overused. Thank you.
I think it was meant to like build anticipation or maybe show some slow burn. You know, it was a cover.
Yeah, but that's not the way to do it.
No, I know. I was gonna say it's a cover up for poor writing. Like, that's the problem. It's a cover up for like, give me something. This is not doing it for me. She looked crazy.
Okay. Do y'all see the thing where she's eating the cupcake and she's doing that whole thing and they trying to make that look sexy? But I was like, where was the writing you did when it was Kate and what's her name? Because they didn't do like the cupcake, but they did scenes like that, like, and it. I don't know. It seemed real. It seemed realer,
right?
Than when I saw those two. And I get when you said about how it's only a kiss and now you're in love. It's like y'all been living next door to each other for 18 years. You've been writing her consistently. Somehow it never dawned that she could be a love interest. That bothers me as well, and I'm probably I'm seeing my mic thing going up as I talk.
And I think for me, it wasn't. I don't even think it was the kiss. For me, it was that whole he's got my toy and now it's my favorite toy, because he also didn't get that convinced that she was that great a catch much until she was talking to old homeboy
Oh, the
that
guy.
seemed to
Yes.
really actually care about her and her interests. And at some point, I was actually rooting for him, like honestly, because
I was rooting for
I was
him.
rooting for him.
he actually seemed to want her as the person she was. And it took Colin a very long time to get to accepting her as the person she was. And he seemed to
Took him
know who
18 years. And
he
how
no
old she is?
no
18.
even after that, it took him a long time to get to the point of accepting her for who she was. And he seemed to be fine with who she was because he knew who he was: hunter, fisher, gatherer, bioscientist, whatever. And that, so it really was, I felt like he didn't see her value till somebody else did. And then he was like, "Oh, now I can't let her get away." But also, I don't know what to do with her. It was very, to me, it was the most juvenile pursuit of relationship that we have seen so far. And I don't know if it's because they're one of the younger couples that they wanted to make it look younger and a fresher approach than Kate and Anthony, or what is her name in the first one?
Daphne,
Daphne
Daphne,
and the
and,
Daphne
and the
and the
Duke.
Duke.
Duke. So maybe that's what it was. But it really, to Dana's point earlier, there wasn't a lot to endear you to Colin until episode six and a half, seven. And
So I
even
missed it.
then, it was really just that his mortal fortitude was enough to withstand shenanigans. But I don't know that it was because I felt like he was necessarily the right man for her. But I do think it was nice that he stood up for her when situations called for it. Like, he was strong in his convictions.
Hmm.
I just wasn't sure he was sure that he was making the right decision. Like, it was just a lot of uncertainty, and then all of a sudden we're all the way in love, and I was confused because all the way they hadn't had a whole conversation, and God knows when. How do you know you're in love?
He was
With
supposed to have to
what?
work for her. He
Right,
was
and
Yes.
supposed
he
to
didn't.
have to do
Grovel.
all the things that because even
Beg.
though
He
I
didn't have
like
to work or grovel, but he had to do something.
yeah,
Because
he
all he
had to
did
do
was
All
something.
he did was
He
stand
did
up
had
for her
done.
that one time. He stood up for her the one
like
time, and
it
she was
just.
like, "Oh,
But like I said, I felt like this really got jacked up in season 2 because we were all like, I can't wait to see how you come back for this, and it was gonna be hard.
Right.
It really was, and they didn't even try. I'm sorry,
but he
like
didn't."
I was really disappointed. And then when I found out it was a different showrunner, I was like, why this season? you know.
Yeah. So you're saying that the showrunner for this season is not the showrunner for the first 2 seasons?
My understanding is the lady who they have now is a new showrunner, and she's also going to be the showrunner for season 4.
Oh, okay. So the person who we were rooting for, Lord Dublin. And I wrote down, and this is under episode 2. I wrote down, dang it, this is Team Jacob all over again. I love Lord Dublin.
Yes,
Yeah,
I liked him
I
too.
liked
I
him
really
too.
think.
Re-
I mean, if
liked
you were
him.
going by like sexual chemistry and all that, I mean, maybe they tried to make that with Colin, but to me that didn't pan out. So if you're gonna just build your relationship on by what you needed, romance or lust is not the thing. And even though he was a nice looking guy, so I mean, that could
Yeah.
that can grow, but he was somebody she could have built a relationship and didn't have to worry about her job as being Lady Whistledown. She didn't have to worry about that. She could have everything she wanted without all the stuff with Colin, because she could. I mean, he was like,
But
I'll be here and then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do this, and you have all my
she
you
would
have
have
my
been bored
name,
though.
my wealth. What?
I think I don't, as much as I kind of liked him, he's not the right one for her either. Like, I feel like what
Well, I mean,
she wants love. He's going to be what we expect for that time period. He's there, he's a provider, blah, 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 blah. But I feel like to have a husband who's like there, 2 weeks out of the year, that works for certain women because maybe that's the type of relationship they want. But Penelope is too much of a romantic for that to ever work out.
Well, I mean, I
And I
see
knew
with
that.
her, I probably wouldn't work like that because what he said about I'll be gone for this or that. But, and so that in that case, no. But I'm just thinking, I'm doing by a checklist. about husbands for that time period, oh, he strikes all the checks. He
Oh,
does
he's
everything.
better than
Check.
Colin.
Yeah, Colin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Up,
But
up until the point where
if
he
you're
said
not,
that, I really do think, to Stacey's point, he checked off all the boxes. Up until he finally said, "I'm gonna be gone and you gonna have to be on your own." Then I was like, "Oh no!" But up until he declared that, I agree with Stacey. They could have built something. At least
yeah.
he
And
had
and
options.
even then, if
Quite
he was
frankly, I was gonna be like, if he's gone, that's a positive for me that he is gone for that
yeah,
amount.
and
As long as I had all that stuff.
that's what I was gonna say. Even if he was gone, if they were not, because they were going to, he wanted to move them to what, Iceland or some remote place. So if he was gonna be gone for an extended period of time, and she was able to still be in the ton, that probably even still would have worked, because she would have been around her friends. She would have been in with the gossip,
Yeah,
so
but
she could do her Lady Whistledown thing, kind of thing like that. But part of it was that he was gonna move them way out into
No, I thought he
nowhere or
wasn't gonna
something.
move. He was only gonna move them if she was going with him, but not necessarily if well, at least maybe I misunderstood. I was thinking that if she was going with him, it'll be away from there. But if he's gone, she could be back where she is at the
hmm
time. And I mean, I know that was a good option for her because at the time she didn't think she was going to get love. So he checked all the
Yeah,
boxes because she was saying, I don't want to be here, because the
exactly.
mom was like, and you can be here with me forever and ever. And she was like, I
She
got to
was like,
find a
no.
husband.
And you're right.
And
She would have had her
so,
own
and,
independent household. She would have had
and
her
just,
own wealth.
mhm.
And I think,
But
and
that
I
goes
think
against
that
every
would
other
have been.
character in the.
Yeah, I think it does, and I
I
also
s-
think she grew up with all her sisters and all those, and I think that's the thing. And also, Stacey, and to Yvonne, to your point, she didn't have any friends at this point because she really only had Eloise
That's
before,
true.
and then they were estranged. So I do think that she would have still been. She would have been married with her own money, but she still would have been in the same position in terms of personal relationships because she did
But I
not
do.
have any other friends that she really considered. She didn't have a circle. I mean, she had a dot. I mean, it was really small.
she
And
that's
without
true.
Eloise, she
Yeah.
was really gonna still be alone. And I think, to Dana's
Cause
point,
she didn't
I
even
think
have
that
her
was part of
sisters.
it.
She had
She didn't have her
nothing.
Yeah, she
sisters
didn't
at
have
that point.
Yeah.
anything.
She didn't have anybody.
But with
Hmm.
that name for that lord, she might have gained some, and had her own. She might have developed her own circle because at that point she would have been known more than the sister or so and so, and the Featherington girls. That she might have been able to develop that, but she was never going to develop that living with her mom and her sisters, and then when they die, living with them because that's what they did it back in the day. So I'm not saying that would be the end of it. But you're right, she didn't have much friends. But if I looked, her mother didn't seem like to have much friends either. So I'm just saying, it was
Yeah, her mother was a glom on kind of
yeah,
person.
yeah, and it was like her and the daughters. That was it. It wasn't and the maid. That
Yeah.
oh yeah, the housekeeper, whatever. She could get her own housekeeper if that's all you need. Because when she got her own house, she could get that housekeeper and maybe
Oh, they
make
could
a
be
friend.
friends.
You know,
Pay her to
as
be.
much as you can, as much as you
Right.
can for somebody to pay. Because I'm sure that that other lady's like, I'm coming here for work. I can't come. I can't leave.
Right.
But I think Penelope, when I think about her, I feel like she's too young. I feel like what I want to say is she needs to go to college. I feel like she needs to leave home, experience life, kind of like Colin got to do, right? And then
Yeah.
come back because
Hmm.
she seems very naive. On one level, she seems extremely naive. But then when I listen to her stuff that she's writing as Miss Whistledown or whatever, it's like she sounds mature, like some of the stuff she's saying and stuff. But then when it comes to her love life, the girl, I'm sorry, I was very
Well, I mean, you think
disappointed.
about for that environment, she would not have that because the only way she would learn. I mean, think about her sisters. You put it well. He
Right.
inserted
They
Favorite,
didn't even know
favorite,
if they were having sex or not.
favorite line in the whole show.
that was the
I
best
died
part of
laughing.
it. So I'm not sure how much experience she
No,
would have got.
right, I was
You know,
joking. When I said go to college, I was
I
just
should
thinking
have
like,
got some, but she might have gotten some experience if she traveled with Lord Dublin somewhere and saw other folks. So
other
hey,
people.
she could have
True.
that.
Yeah.
I wanted more for her, and I
Hmm.
just I didn't get it, but you brought up her. So Eloise. So season 1, I loved her relationship with Eloise. Eloise, she was quirky. I loved her. By season 3, and like I didn't see the end, so I don't know how this went. I couldn't stand Eloise. Like she just came off very like I'm better than you and mine. And maybe y'all could clue me in and remind me because I don't really remember how bad Mrs. Is it Mrs. Whistledown? That don't sound right in my head.
Lady,
thank you. Lady, I don't know how bad Lady Whistledown ruined her family or whatever, but she is so harsh and so mean to Penelope. When y'all know y'all were really the only 2 friends you guys had. And I'm shocked that we've drug it out as long as we have, that they're not, like, I'm waiting for them to get back together because I feel like as a team, I really like them together. So that was probably, like, forget Colin and Penelope. I don't care whether they get together or not, but I would really have preferred if her and Ella's, because they were just, I don't know, their relationship was very special to me. The idea that they may never get back together is probably, like,
I'm going to be honest, based on the way it ended, they're not going to get together next year because I don't want to spoil what happened. But
spoil it.
So
you never watch it.
Okay, so that's right. So Eloise is moving to the woods with Francesca. So
Scotland.
To her new
they're
girlfriend.
moving to Scotland
Yes.
with Francesca, her husband, and the cousin. So right, the weirdly shape-shifting cousin. But anyway, I agree with you, Dana. One of the things that distressed me the most, and one of the things I think was, because she wasn't just terrible to Penelope, but then she befriended Cressida.
Cressida.
And was a terrible friend to her too. And that is when I realized that it's Eloise. Sure, to your point, Dana, Lady Whistledown said a few things about the Bridgertons, but the Bridgertons will always be the Bridgertons. And so it rolled off their shoulders. They still are the top of the ton. There was no permanent damage done, right? But whatever it was, it burrowed itself inside of Eloise because she wasn't any better a friend. She was just as judgmental to Cressida, and even when Cressida was trying to take her advice and do the things she asked her to do or think about things differently, she never once asked that girl how she was doing. She never actually cared about what Cressida was going through, and then got her feelings hurt by what Cressida's father said. Never brought it to Cressida herself, and then jumped off on her again about that. And Cressida was like, I didn't say that, nor did I agree with it, as I am here trying to pursue this friendship with you. But she was, and so when Cressida finally came to her and was like, you might want to take your own advice, I was like, tell her, sis, because she is awful. And I don't think that I care if they ever become friends again, because she's not a good friend. And the Penelope that was at the end of the show, who had come into her own as Lady Whistledown in public, that Penelope I was proud of, and that Penelope doesn't need a friend like Eloise. Does Eloise need a friend like that Penelope? Yes, but I feel like she got to earn her back, and she got to do more than Colin, because if this family, if that's the best they got in terms of an apology for poor behavior, I'm gonna have to write the whole family out.
You know, my opinion of the whole relationship between Eloise and Penelope. Eloise liked that relationship in the beginning because she was kind of on a pedestal a little bit from Penelope. I mean, if you think about like Penelope, how they were talking about her in the beginning, in the first few episodes of this season, how she was like a wallflower and she didn't stand out, and especially when she came in with the green dress, they were like, we don't even know who this is, and blah blah blah, and they were still trying to put her down even as she was trying to come into her own. So Eloise felt, I think, because of her selfishness and how she is, she had a little bit of a one-up in that relationship.
But do you
I think part of the hurt of the whole Lady Whistledown, I agree with you, Dana. I'm trying to remember exactly why that was so hurtful. I mean, she was like, you tore my heart out with this Whistledown thing. And I'm like, No,
But she did it for a reason.
You had one part, and she did it for a reason, exactly. Eloise came out of that season, that second season, she came out of that, fine. She had one party where nobody showed up. That was it. She came out of that fine. And Whistledown was part of the reason why she came out of that fine. But I think part of the reason why Eloise is so hurt is because, Lady Whistledown remember, she was somebody who Eloise looked up to. Mm-hmm. Remember? She was somebody that, Eloise wanted to know Lady Whistledown, and Eloise wanted to be in Lady Whistledown's circle. So Eloise thought that Lady Whistledown was a little one up from her. Like, oh, how can I be in that circle? And when she finds out that it's Penelope all along, I think part of that is,
jealousy.
I'm hurt that it's you.
Yeah, so because I want to believe in their friendship. I don't know if she was like, yay, Penelope, I'm one up of her. I mean, maybe. That's certainly how I feel about her now. But I want to believe that she liked the wildflower Penelope because she was one too. Like, it felt comfortable.
Yeah,
it was
but
a safe
I think
place for her to be.
Penelope was a wildflower because, she was a wildflower and she used that to her advantage for Lady Whistledown. But for me, Eloise, she was like, I'm playing at being a wallflower, but I'm never really a wallflower because I'm a Bridgerton. And even though she might not have said that, I think in the end she kind of, privilege of being a Bridgerton was that regardless of whether she dressed whatever or she whatever, she was always going to be a Bridgerton. And that's how come, like, when that whole thing with Lady Whistledown said that stuff about her, and she may have had that one thing with that party. I think that was it, that one party, or that was it. Yeah, she got invited to all the stuff after that. If she truly was ostracized from society, she would not have gotten an invite for nothing outside of that. So, maybe she was hurt because she didn't tell her. Maybe if you want to go on the Eloise kind of stuff, maybe she was more hurt by the betrayal because you didn't trust me enough to tell me. So that maybe that was part of it. Okay, but she let that go for a long time. She did. She kept that. She kept that. Held on to for so long that it doesn't make me think that it was just a betrayal of you didn't tell me that. It was you didn't tell me that. And Lady Whistledown, you doing all this stuff. You make the stuff that she wanted to do, because that when we saw those first seasons, we saw how. Gosh, you want to try to find Lady Whistledown. I'm trying to find. And granted, when she found out it was always this girl beside her this whole time, she may have felt foolish and a little dumb that she never picked up on that which is true. But she held on to it for a lot longer for a grudge. And enough to befriend someone who who bullies your own friend. It's not it'd be one thing I don't talk to you, but I'm gonna befriend your bully.
Right.
That's totally different.
It felt fabricated.
Yes. That's what it was. And she made to me words. And again, okay, so when we talked about the different things, the different stuff that's going on that was so much in this season, Cressida, that was another storyline. That's why it had too many storylines, because you had Cressida over there trying to fight for her life so she wouldn't have to be married to this old man. Literally. So, and to be honest, in some ways, it made her seem more human, more likable, because you see that. Because you're like, she's been on the shelf for a while. She's been there since Daphne, and Daphne's married with child. And then what's his name? Kate. That's the second season. The second season of the whatever. She's married and expecting, and you send third year. You're a third year freshman in here, and you can't even get out of. You're being told that your parents are going to ship you off to this old ass man if you don't whatever. But you have to admit that she was at least brave in the sense that she kept up the friendship with Eloise, because her dad was like, no. And this is the world where when your father or your parents say, particularly your father, says, no, you're supposed to stop, because I can lock you in the closet and be done with you till, I'll send you to asylum. I don't, something can happen. But she kept being friends with her. And
Exactly. But
Eloise, like you
Eloise,
said, was not a good friend.
she was a
She
terrible friend.
didn't ask none of.
She never
She
asked
didn't
how
even
she was
join the friend.
doing. She never asked
Hey,
for her
I might be married to
situation.
your old man.
Right.
But see, that's
She
why
never
I
tried to
feel like
help her. She never all she did was
but that's
criticize
why
her
I
and then
feel
walk
like
away.
Eloise, something is wrong with the way that character is to me written because the way she turned and did a 180 it didn't make sense to me. Like I couldn't. She's too hot. She's changed too much.
So I
Like
think
again, season one, I liked her, and she was really one of the bigger reasons I even liked the show. Period. Right. And so then to see her become, I guess maybe she had the cover over all her eyes, but I really feel like the initial season, they were really friends. She felt at home with Penelope, whatever. She did not like that whole society thing. She did not want to be a part of it. Yes, she's going to be a part of it because that's her life and she can't change it. But she did not want that. And then slowly, well, maybe not slow enough, she's become this whole person. I don't even recognize her. Like, she's bitter,
Yeah.
she's angry, and she's a stank biatch. And I'm like, this is not who. Like, I loved her. She was quirky. She was fun. She was somebody that I would have wanted to hang out with. And she is this whole, like, I don't know because I don't know all the stories, but are we meant to hate her? Like, it's
right.
why would we care about her story?
I
Who cares if she gets married and finds somebody?
I think that Colin verbalized something that was really attributed to Eloise when Colin says to Penelope, in truth, I think I was jealous of you because of your writing, because of your talent, because you were able to do the thing that I was not able to do. And he was talking about himself being a writer and an artist and all that kind of stuff. And I think that that also in some ways applied to Eloise in that Penelope was able to carve out the autonomy and for herself that Eloise has been trying to get. And I think that that's part of it is that Penelope took the risk that Eloise really didn't know how to do until the end of the season when she decides to head off to Scotland. But until then, she hadn't figured out how to get out of the box all the way. She hadn't figured out how to make her own lane. And I think that there was some envy attached to it once she found out that Penelope really had. And I think if you match that envy with the hurt of your friend not telling you something so important, and then add to that the frustration of the box she felt like she was in. I think that's who's created this person that we see. That's what created that person we see now. And to your point, I didn't really like her. And honestly, I thought for a minute that even though she was friends with Cressida, that she might have turned a corner as a person, even if she had fully committed to not being Penelope's friend. But then I saw how she was treating Cressida, and I said, no, no, she has not turned a corner as a person. She has not grown any in this space. She was very, and maybe that's the thing we didn't. She was younger, and so we gave her grace. But as she's gotten older, but it's the same self-centered Eloise. She was just, she was just. It was easier to forgive it when she was young. It was easier to look at it and
So
be
how
like,
are they
"Oh,
gonna
that's
make
just
us
And
rebellion."
and the dynamic was different.
Exactly.
So
But
how are
as
they
she's
gonna
gotten
make us
older,
want
she
to hear
hasn't
her story?
matured. And I think
So
that's
how
the
we
thing.
And
gonna?
everybody else around
And
her
everybody
has.
is maturing, and she's still throwing tantrums and acting,
Yes.
literally acting out because she can't get her way. She can't do it the way she wants to do it. And I think that's the part where I couldn't give any more grace for that, because everybody else is trying to grow into their these new stages of life, and she is still literally acting like a brat and throwing tantrums because she has to wear this dress, because she has to go to this place, because she has to do this thing. I don't care if they're friends
So
anymore. I
she's
want
gonna have
Penelope
the
to do that.
same PR problem that Colin has, and she's gonna have to somehow convince me to care about her when it's her season, right? And I know they said they need 2 years to do the next season. I don't know why. And who's I don't even know whose season it's supposed to be, and I ain't
I'm
likely
looking
watching.
forward
But
to the next season though.
So the
you
next
won't
season,
even remember it's coming out.
the next season is supposed to focus on the people that have gone to Scotland. So it's supposed to focus on Francesca and Eloise.
But I think most people are anticipating the Francesca and the whole change up with that or whatever. Because I ain't heard nobody talk about caring anything about what happens to Eloise.
Because we don't like her, Dana.
I ain't heard that one.
We don't like her, and I feel bad because I agree with you. When I first started off, I thought, oh, those are two friends, and I hope they make it through this whole thing together. But again, I don't know how many more times Penelope can grovel and say that she's sorry for Penelope to turn her shoulder and ask her to kiss her hind parts. Like, I don't know how many times you're going to want me to do that, man.
No, I'm over it. No more. I'm over it.
And then she gave her that ultimatum and was like, you have until midnight. And then, so, I mean, I guess we were supposed to feel like they were going to build a bridge when she hugged her, when Colin stormed off, and she hugged her when she broke down crying. I mean, I guess we're supposed to feel like there was some bridge building that happened there, but I just didn't care anymore. And I think that's the whole, when she said, I'm getting on that train, I'm going with you to Scotland, I was like, thank God, because good Lord, I've had enough.
Well, if you see a dog hitting the road, you might move it out of the way, but you don't take it home. That's kind of what she did.
Sometimes you just drop it off the shelter. So, and I feel like that was one of the things, but I do feel like for Colin, at least in the clutch, he came through for Penelope in a way that Eloise had a million chances to and did not. In a clutch, he didn't agree with her decision. He didn't necessarily at the beginning like the way he found out she was Lady Whistledown any more than Eloise did. He was angry about the same things you talked to me about me and my family like a dog, but in the clutch, when it came to someone coming for Penelope, he stood his ground in front of her. And Eloise turned her back and let her suffer whatever fate was coming. And so as far as Colin goes, while I feel like it was shenanigans all the way up to whatever, when it came down to it, I do feel like he stood up for her in the clutch. That he said that he loved her, then he acted like he did. And Eloise has not earned even that bit of credit from me. Do I hope that they have some better functioning relationship when we see them again? Yes, I thought their epilogue helped me out a whole lot. Seemed like they had gotten their groove. They had figured out how to be a couple, and maybe they're going to be okay. But I did every chance that Eloise had, and you haven't seen those episodes, Dana, but in every chance she had to be her ally, she chose to be her foe, and she stood behind it with two toes. I mean, she might have been worse than Cressida at some points. Every chance she had to be a good friend again, she said, "Oh no, I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna let you down again." I mean, I think the hugging her when she was distraught was probably the best she did the whole time, and by then it was too late.
Does season 3 have a true epilogue episode apart to it?
It wasn't an
No.
It was.
Okay.
It's a.
Because I was going to
It's
say,
a little bit
like
longer. It's just a little bit longer than the other.
But I mean, did
It
they
had
say,
like
hey,
it had like a
this
little
stuff?
time hop. It did have a little time hop where you
Because
see.
what I was going to
Yes,
say,
it was a little
so
time
that's what I was
hop.
going to
It
ask
was.
about, because I don't
Yes.
feel like we saw that in the other ones, and this is another reason why this is a problem. Is if they did it in this one, it's probably because they feel like they didn't have enough time during that, because they were too busy talking about everybody else to really give you the full story. So we're going to go ahead and jump ahead and say, hey, they're living happily ever after and pregnant and babies and whatever. I didn't see it, but like, what is that?
With that, and I was going to talk about this a little bit later as far as storylines and stuff go, but we can talk about it now. So with that, I felt like there was a little time hop thing at the end where we've already said spoiler alert, where Cressida is gone, right? But she got out of the marriage thing, but
but it's because she had to go live with that older.
Yeah, because she had to live with her aunt. So
what happened? Is she pregnant? What? I'm confused. Why she?
No, she's not pregnant.
Why she gonna live with her aunt? That sounds like, girl.
So the thing is, like, you ended at episode 5, which episode 5 is when Cressida says, "I'm Lady Whistledown." Well, Queen Charlotte is like, you got to prove to me that you Lady Whistledown. So Cressida was trying to do that, but so she could get the money, and so she didn't have to move in with the old man, but she didn't, and she fell on her face.
Okay.
And so then the aunt, I think that's what, the dad's sister, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, this mean aunt, like mean aunt, came and took her away. And so she went to live with the aunt. So Queen Charlotte, and I can't remember this part because it's been a minute and I've been watching some other stuff, but Queen Charlotte, you know, she I think in episode 7, Queen Charlotte says, listen, it's one of y'all Bridgertons. And I think that was at Penelope and Colin's wedding.
An engagement.
Say it again.
I thought it was engagement party. Their engagement or that,
Oh,
something like that.
Or bridal shower.
No, something like that.
It
was a bridal brunch.
it was actually.
Was
It was
it
at the bridal brunch. They were
Okay,
already
yeah.
married. Remember, they married, and then they had a brunch. They
Because
married in the
remember-
morning time, and then they had a brunch.
And then, because remember,
Yeah, okay.
Penelope turns around to leave, and Colin says, Penelope, you're a Bridgerton now. You don't, because remember what Lady Queen Charlotte said?
Right.
Yeah,
Everyone
okay,
who's
yeah.
not a
Yeah.
Bridgerton leaves. And then nobody moves, and
Yeah.
she's like,
Yeah.
now. And so everybody's
Yeah.
leaving, and then Penelope is like, do, and he's like, and Colin is like, you're a Bridgerton now, stand right
you a
here.
Bridgerton, you gotta stay with us. So you know, Queen Charlotte, you know, she's like, yeah, it's one of y'all. I know it's one of y'all, right? And so the Featherington, the ones that are trying to get pregnant or whatever, they want to have their own ball, because just because they're pregnant doesn't mean they can't have a party, right? So at the Featherington's ball, which is, I think that's in the last episode, that's when Queen Charlotte comes out and says something that kind of alludes to the Whistledown thing. And then, you know, and makes a ultimatum kind of thing. Whistledown, you need to come out. And then Penelope actually comes out and she says the Whistledown thing. She says, yeah, you know, I'm Lady Whistledown. So anyway, they go through all their, you know, shenanigans. The tongue goes through their, oh my gosh, blah, 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 whatever. But, you know, we get over that. And so there actually is this kind of time jump kind of thing where we see that Colin is, now some of the book may be getting involved with this, but Colin does write something, or he is writing something,
published.
And you know
He published.
yeah,
it.
he's gonna publish something. Is that in the show? Okay, because in the book he does actually write a book, and
He does, and he credits it to Penelope.
Right. So that happens. They all have babies. All the Featherington youngins, the daughters all have babies. And then, you know, Eloise and Francesca go off to Scotland, and Penelope signs that next, you know, Lady Whistledown paper as Mrs. Penelope Bridgerton.
Yeah. Oh, and don't forget,
Yeah.
Penelope has the boy. So after all that up and
Oh
down,
yeah, she's the one with the boy. So
Penelope's
she's
son
got the
is
heir.
to the Featherington
Yes.
estate as well.
She's got the heir.
So she has the
Yeah,
heir.
the rest
Which
of them have
reminds me,
daughters.
the other storyline is about the family that had the boxing thing, and then their son becomes inherits
Oh,
whatever.
Lord.
That's
Lord.
another line. I know, and I wanted
another
more about that
thing.
while they're trying to integrate into society, trying to figure out how to be, and all about him not being able to run the boxing club anymore, and her trying to bring him into
Yes.
society. You're right. It was like 89 storylines going on at the same
It
time.
was
You
fun.
It
Isn't
was
it?
a lot. It was a lot of
lot.
storylines.
It was a lot.
going
And
on.
then
a lot of storylines.
Lady
going on.
Danbury being angry at her brother, who I turned, and when I
Her
figured
brother with
out
the woman.
but when I
Right.
figured out that she was angry about him for something he did when he was like 7, she really held a
What
grudge. I
was
didn't
it?
quite,
Because
So
I didn't know why
was-
she was mad.
She was angry with him because she had tried to run away before she had to marry Lord Danbury, and he, at 7, not realizing what he was watching, told their father
where she was.
that what was happening, and he stopped her
Yeah,
from being
that
able to
she's
leave.
trying to run
Okay.
away.
But
yeah.
he didn't call it trying
Yeah.
to run away, and he didn't realize that's what she was doing.
Yeah.
He was 7. He
Right.
was just
He
doing what
was not only
7-year-olds
was he,
do. And he
yeah,
didn't realize.
and not only that, he was saying also that, you know, he looked up to her because she's the oldest girl, you know, and so he's, you know, younger brother looking up to her and did not want her to leave. Did not realize what was going on, yes, but also
Yep.
didn't want her to
And
leave
And didn't
because they
realize what
had
she
a
was gonna
great
face.
relationship.
Hmm. And so he
Yeah,
didn't.
he was like, I want my sister to stay
Right.
around.
She assumed that he did it on behest of his father to
Mm-hmm.
destroy her, to spite her, to ruin her
At
chance at
7.
freedom.
At 7,
Just
that was
just put that
bothered
on
me
everywhere
too.
so it's at 7. Like,
Right.
he was a
I'm
kid.
gonna
He was
destroy
really
you.
a child. And she assumed that he did it on his father's behest, and she has been angry at him this whole time. And when they finally have it out, and she says, "This is why I've been upset," and then he explains his side, and you realize, boy, when you talk about somebody who can hold a grudge, she
Yeah.
held on to that one with a. I mean, I was like, he was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was something that had happened when they were adults. Like, I thought that he had like
Nope.
taken the family money and left her destitute, or like something that would
Or
have
be at least a teen to
exactly
know
be in his
enough to
20s.
know.
He was
20.
a
Yeah.
kid.
No, he's
kid.
7.
He was a
Okay.
kid, and so that was a heartwarming moment, and I liked the respect of the relationship between Violet and Lady Danbury, and Violet and him, to make sure that everyone was okay with the dynamics shifting like they were getting ready to. And I think the nod to Queen Charlotte, and having seen what happened between Violet and her dad, and the subtle nod to that, to bring it into the storyline too, and connect those two stories. I think that was also a nice done. But again, it was 9 million vignettes happening at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was trying to catch
Yeah,
them
but-
all, and I
but-
just started to devote my time to everybody but Polin.
Right. But, you know, getting back to the whole time jump thing, and my theory on that before I realized that they are going to have a season 4 was that they were going to end this
Shoulda.
because. What did you say? Wishful thinking.
They should have. That sounds good too.
Well, yeah. Well, I thought they were going to end it because. So this is the other thing. You know, Queen Charlotte kind of battling with Lady Whistledown for the past 3 seasons. That was like a little guilty pleasure kind of thing. That was a little nugget that we all kind of. Well, I don't know if we all held on to it, but it was a little juicy nugget,
I felt like
right?
The show was kinda partially
and-
built around that to me.
it was that exactly, and I had said this to a friend who actually has read the books, and she was like, you know, well, Lady Whistledown is not really this big as it is in the as that whole storyline is not as big in the books as it is in the show. But the problem with the show. But yeah, okay, with the books. But the problem with the show is now you've made this kind of tete-a-tete between Queen Charlotte and Lady Whistledown, and then you solve it in this season at the end. So Queen Charlotte knows who Lady Whistledown is. So is it still gonna... I mean, it feels final. I don't know if anybody else kind of felt that way, but... when you add the time jump with the babies and stuff, and you add the fact that you're kind of closing this arc of Queen Charlotte, Lady Whistledown, who is she? I need to, you know, find. And when you end all of that stuff, it does feel like this is over. And so that's why I kind of felt like, well, maybe that's why they're putting all these storylines in here, because this is the end of it.
But Lady Whistledown is talking to us. So now I kind of feel, or that's how I feel, when she's giving me clues, inside information. So if that goes, like, I guess I just assumed, again, I didn't see the end, that even though everybody knew it was Penelope, that she would continue to do this. Just
and
like
that is the premise that they said. That's the premise that they said, that she would write it. She would write it as herself. Because what Lady Danbury tells the Queen is, even if you know who it is, what's the harm in that? And it's still a different perspective potentially than what you will have as the queen, right? So it can still be that friction. You just know who it is that's pissing you off, and what's the harm in having that? But I also didn't feel like it was final because I know that there are more siblings. And because they kept throwing Benedict
Oh
up in
yeah.
there every 20 minutes to talk about
Oh
him
Lord.
finding himself and when
I
his
didn't.
turn was coming and whatever. So I assumed that at some point they were going to give that poor pitiful boy who his own time in the sun. So I did not think it was going to be a continuation on Francesca's side as much as I thought that it four is was gonna be about Benedict, because remember he kept saying it's out
Yeah.
of order. I should be next anyway. What about me? And so I think
And it is out of
it is
order
out
in
of
the
order in the
books,
books,
which
exactly,
is
because technically
that
he
was
is the
kind of a
B.
tongue in cheek. Yeah.
Exactly, because technically he's the B. He would have gone next. But I do think I didn't think it was final, but I do think it's going to be interesting to see
Come back.
how they present her. But I think also because they're using her as a narrator to us, it might make it a little bit easier for her to retire from sending out the sheets but still be actively part of the show, because she can still narrate to us regardless of whether or not it's part of
You
the.
think she'll be
Yeah.
narrating to us? And is it Julie Andrews? Whose voice is it?
I
It's
hope.
Julie
It's
Andrews.
Julie Andrews.
Let's
Yeah.
not
You think?
let's not assume she not gonna make it, Lord. 'Cause
Oh,
you
geez.
think they got to switch to
Wow.
Penelope's voice because
Oh,
Julie?
Lord.
Because Julie
Marcy
don't want.
having a moment here.
Marcy.
I mean, it's just so many people, but Dana, that's where you were headed with this. But maybe they will move the voice to Penelope. That'd be interesting to see if they do that or not.
They kind of did. If I remember correctly, now I could be wrong in remembering this, like again, because it's been a minute since I've seen it. But didn't she end her Lady Whistledown letter with her voice, or was it? Did the voice change from Julie Andrews to her voice at the end when she said her name?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't
That's a
remember.
good question. Put
That's
the
a
answer
good
down in the
question, right.
comments.
Exactly.
Yes, please let us
If
know.
y'all
Please
remember,
let us know in the
please let us
comments.
know.
'Cause
love
we
to
don't
that.
remember.
I don't remember. I
And,
remember seeing it on the scroll, on the paper, but I
yeah,
don't
on
remember
the
who
paper.
said it.
Who said it? Okay. Yes, please let us know in the comments because we don't know. And of course, we're going to be watching something else so we can give you another podcast episode about something else. But I do want to, first off, before we totally leave Polin, because I do want to totally leave them, I do want to say about Colin versus about Penelope. About Colin, I think what they did in the beginning by like kind of having him come back, and remember they all kept saying, well, you're acting different. You're acting, strange. You're acting this. I think they tried to do that to make us feel like he's a different person, but he was not coming off to me as a better person, especially when he's sleeping with two women at a time.
Yeah, we didn't like that.
Yeah.
He
We
came
did not.
off as
Why would you
worse.
do that? Yeah, he did.
And so it made me feel like I really don't want you to get with Penelope now. You really don't deserve Penelope now.
Because you have syphilis now. That's
Exactly.
why.
Right. Because you're diseased.
And you got it 2 weeks
You've
ago
got
and
the
asked me to
pox.
marry you today.
Right.
I just, no.
Herpes simplex 1 and 2. But anyway, I mean, yes. And so, it's funny that you say that, Stacey. And I know we always talk about this, especially on Star Trek when we talk about Kirk being a whore. But anyway, I was kind of thinking that a little bit too. I was like, I don't want you sleeping with Penelope because Penelope ain't been with nobody and you about to give her some diseases and I don't like it.
But that's again
I did
why
have
the whole,
that feeling.
the time gap wasn't there. I mean, literally, he just slept with other people like 5 minutes ago, and now he's in love with me.
Right.
He just not
It took one
deserved
kiss,
it.
2 women, but 1 kiss from you.
From me,
and I'm done.
it's just like I have done. It's
And
And
it
I've
was
known
really-
you all
it
my
was a
life,
really
but somehow that's the one.
Right, and it was really short progression to let me show you the house we're gonna be living in. To when
It was
we
the
said
same
we were
day.
having sex on this settee, I was like, "What?" He didn't even
Where
do
was
that
everybody, her
hard.
family? I thought
Where
this
was her family? And how
'cause
about
this is
he said that there were not servants there to like clean up, but after they, did what they did, there was somebody at the door. He said, "Oh, I think that's the servant."
Right, to bring over my stuff.
Right, and I was like, well, the servants had to have kind of been around or something there. And then, too, think about the tension in the first season when Daphne and the Duke almost held hands. And these people are fornicating before me.
Exactly.
Right. And then it's in a dusty house.
But
she shouldn't have been allowed to be there.
Woman didn't have was that at her house or was that at his house? Now I can't remember. That was at her house, wasn't it?
No, that was at their quote unquote their house. Remember,
their house.
He was like, "Let me show you where we'll be living." It was down the street from both of their houses at his property. He inherited from some uncle or something.
And they were
ridiculous.
alone.
They were all
but
dead.
But that was also like, how you gonna be alone? Because I thought you supposed to have a chaperone everywhere you go.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
That she was too. But Penelope was too on the shelf. She don't need a chaperone.
No,
why did she not need it? But Daphne needs one for everywhere.
I think he snuck her out or something. It was clear they were sneaking, but it was clear that he knew what sneaking
would lead to. They were definitely sneaking,
and it was clear that maybe she didn't. And then by the time she figured it out with all the, and then maybe she was just out of breath. Maybe it was all the panting that had left all her actual mental faculties.
Maybe it was too tight a corset.
Maybe a corset was too tight.
Yeah,
maybe she wasn't getting full oxygen
to
her mind because one minute they're standing up in a dusty room.
He just wanted to save her.
And the next minute, I know, right? And the next minute she's
and
naked talking about
CPR, so he tried the sex route.
It was the most bizarre. Like his level of effort for her compared to anyone else's level of effort for anybody else. Even the dumb sisters had men who worked hard to keep them, and it just boggled my mind how little he actually did. To get her to be like, oh, he chose me. Like it was the pick meest season ever. And then when she got picked, she was like, hey. And then there's a moment where he says to her, "Then what do you need me for?" And I was like, excellent question, Colin. What does she need you for? Because I can't actually tell what it is. And then she's like, "I just need you to stand beside me." And I was like,
get a dog.
Well, kudos to you.
No, I need you to make me an heir, even though, back in the day it was supposed to be the women that, was supposed to have the sons and not the dudes because they don't know chromosomes or something. But anyway,
it was a lackluster effort.
That was what it
was.
was.
He talked her non-existent panties off. He just, he really, his lack of any kind of actual effort to win her, and her lack of needing him to, it was the pick-meest relationship I had ever seen, and it bothered me because by the time she got a spine, she already had his last name, and it was too late for her to realize that she could have done better than this dude right here. Now, again, he honored his commitments. He stood up when he should have, and hoorah for that. But in general,
that's sexy.
He didn't really.
He honored his commitments. That's love.
I mean, it was because everybody kept saying because when they found out about her, like he should have walked away. Blah blah blah. He didn't have nothing going for him. Where was he going? Walking away to do what? And that's my whole point.
He was
walking away to do what?
To her at that point.
But what was he walking away to? He didn't have nothing. He didn't have no vocation. No. He didn't have what? What was he walking away to except another threesome? Like he didn't bring nothing to the table but a potential VD. And she was like, oh, all my hopes and dreams have been fulfilled. Lies, girl. This boy is bare minimum in the epitome of bare minimum. If bare minimum was a person, it would be Colin. If there was a picture in a dictionary, it should always be his picture because I have never seen a man do less and be lauded by all of the community. I mean, I think that's what bothered me so much is that it was clear she was bringing some things to the table. It was clear because when he talks about how he loved her, he said things like, "You make me better. I can be myself with you. I know you really love me. At no point did I hear him
Oh,
say anything that was solely about her
her.
contribution to the relationship, or where it was about a relationship between two people. It really was how this whole relationship was going to benefit him. It was the pick meest, bare minimist, pitifulest courtship I have ever seen. The hunting guy was doing more work for her than Colin was. He was actually trying to get to know her as she was in that moment. Colin was like, I'm gonna rely on these letters you sent me 3 years ago because you know it came by boat. That Penelope is the one I'm trying to take off the shelf, and I'm just gonna put her on the shelf at my house specifically instead of the shelf in general. That's really what he was like. I'm just gonna take you off of this shelf so I can put you on my shelf, and I'm gonna take you down to take you down, but otherwise shelf you. It was much, but
Well,
too little.
for me as a person who writes romance and romantic women's fiction with plus size women, with black plus size women, for the most part at that, I am always thinking that this woman needs to be treated like Bella in Twilight. Everybody loved Bella. Like Sookie Stackhouse. Everybody wanted to be around her, even if it was just
Give
because
up
her
your
blood
life,
was
Right.
exactly. Everybody wanted them. And that is how a woman really should be treated as far as romance goes. And of course, these are some romance novels, or these are romance stories. We won't even talk about the books because I don't know what's going on in the books. But I'm looking at this as, this is a romance story, or this is a romance dramedy. And so, one, because she's, again, not plus size, but to me, regular size. But anyway,
Above average for Hollywood.
above average for Hollywood and above average for these people that she's hanging around. We'll say that. Above average for these people that she's hanging around. Because I even think that back in the day, if you got a little meat on your bones, that means you got some money. You can afford to eat.
Mm-hmm. Rich.
Exactly. Rich and fancy. So, because, she's bigger than, the other people that, are having relationships, I really wanted to see Colin or whoever just fall head over heels and do all that stuff. I mean, you have to be I have to just really show her that I love her. And everybody should have been like, instead of when she was coming down the stairs with her green on, I was gonna wear a yellow shirt today, because remember how they kept trying to put her in yellow and she did not want to be put in yellow. And then when she had that moment where she had that green dress, I was like, girl, you doing it. I felt like at that moment, everybody should, like, the guys should have been around her. The guys should have been whatever, flattered, whatever it was, under a spell. I don't care. I really don't care. Just write something where this woman is just totally adored. And instead, what I got was that she was scorned, and then she was made to look like she was, oh, I can't get a man because I'm awkward and because I'm whatever. I mean, are you kidding me? Bella from Twilight was not awkward and she got everybody. Are you kidding me right now? And the one person that had to actually, help her was almighty Colin, who has been lobotomized and is now a different person. I mean, the whole dynamic of Polin, from what I wanted to what I got, was a letdown for me as a plus size woman. It was a letdown for me as somebody who wanted true romance. It was even a letdown for me as a Bridgerton watcher because, again, as we have all said, in the first season and the second season, these men pined, or these men and these women had sexual tension going on. And
I burned for you.
Right, I burned for
you. You know, it was like, oh, I'm tepid.
Exactly.
Right. And
You
the
know,
only time he
I
ever
want to laugh with you, and I want to remember some good times we had as kids when we fell in mud puddles together.
Right.
Like, are you kidding me?
even
And
the
you can
Duke was
still
showing
do-
up places he didn't want to be just so he could be around her in well lit,
That's right.
publicly attended places. Colin only showed up to be with
Yes.
her in dark places where there was no one else around. That's the best way
Right.
to
Yeah.
describe it. Those Anthony was
Exactly.
showing up in parlors all over town trying to see Kate, but you know who
What
didn't
I
go
wanted for
nowhere
her-
where they were both present at the same time and address her in public? Colin never addressed Penelope in actual public at the door after she run outside.
Exactly.
Yes. In a
And they
yes.
even insinuated
house.
that they were together,
Right.
right? But they never. But
But
he was
never-
trying to as much to avoid that as
but
possible.
never
That's
in a
horrible.
place where he could have declared himself, even if it was only to her by his presence. He chose to wait until it was a private setting. He never,
Yeah.
by action of being in public, said, I am not ashamed of you. I choose to whatever. It was always a darkly lit place, a place where it was only him and her. And that to me was it's a letdown. Everyone else was making up
Yes.
reasons to be places, strolling through the green,
Right.
trying to show up for horseback riding in the middle of at the crack of dawn. They were doing the most every time you turn around just to be in the same place. Colin was like, let me hop in this carriage with you over here in this dark corner behind this building in the dead of night.
Right.
Let me declare myself right here. Let me take you the back way to this place where we might be living one day while no one can see us. And then after I besmirched your reputation, then let me take you back on through the house and hope nobody sees us.
Right.
Every time I think about it, I just get a little bit more upset.
Just,
Yeah,
I can tell.
exactly. We will continue this discussion on our next episode. Make sure you're subscribed to Nerdy Romantics Podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and visit nerdyromanticspodcast.com to subscribe to our newsletter, where you can get show notes directly in your inbox. Thank you for listening.